Nebraska just wrapped up their last week of fall practice before game week versus UTEP. So in today's video, I'm going to go over everything that we learned over the last couple of days, some breakout players, emerging storylines, an injury update, and of course, some inside information. So we have a lot to talk about in today's video. Before we get into all of it, make sure to hit that like button. You're starting to get fired up about the season. 6 days, but who's counting, am I right? And hey, if you're new to the channel or just a returning viewer, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. I post daily Husker football content, and we're just going to keep going along all year long. So join the best family here on Nebraska YouTube and hit that subscribe button. It would help me out greatly. But without further ado, let's get into going over the storylines from Nebraska fall practice week 4, the fourth and final. And let's go to number 1, arguably the biggest positional battle going on for the Huskers, the kicker position. So if you follow the Husker social media team all offseason long, the big narrative has been chasing 3 because Nebraska lost those last 4 games by an average of 3 points. How can we get back and win these close games? You can't win close games without a reliable kicker. Nebraska is in the process of finding one. Now, Matt Rhule was asked the other day if he has determined who the starting kicker will be versus UTEP, and he said he has not found a guy yet. Of course, Tristan Alvano coming back from injury. He said he's about 90% there, and then John Hull also in the mix. So that is a big concern for the Huskers. I've been concerned about it all offseason long because we know how poor Tristan Alvano was, and honestly, if John Hull can't beat out Alvano and Alvano's injured, that tells you everything you know about how poor this kicker room is once again this year. So hopefully somebody stands up and really makes a couple plays here in these last couple of days to earn that spot. But Matt Rhule also mentioned, he said this, I'm concerned about the kicker room. He's been very transparent about that. But he also said, I'd be a lot more concerned if they weren't making kicks. So apparently Tristan Alvano, John Hull, they're making their kicks in practice, but nothing descriptive enough to tell us who that starting kicker should be. My guess and my prediction all offseason long has been Tristan Alvano. Again, he should get up to 100% by game week. Man, we just need him to have a big year because, again, it's impossible to chase 3 if your special teams is bad. We saw that throughout the Scott Frost era. Please do not happen again because that could literally derail our season by 3 or 4 losses. So I want to talk about that, the kicker situation. That's the big storyline. I'm concerned about it. It is getting to a territory of concernment, especially with 1 week left, so we'll keep tabs on it. All right, second storyline, fan favorite. Let's get to it. My last edition of breakout players from week 4 of Nebraska fall practice. The first guy I want to mention is Amari Sanders. So I've talked about a lot of true freshman DBs on this channel. Mario Buford, Larry Tarver's been my guy, even Caleb Benning a little bit. But Amari Sanders is a guy who's really started to come up the last 2 weeks specifically. Matt Rhule's mentioned him. Players have mentioned him. The defensive coaching staff has mentioned him. Again, this is a super lanky, tall corner coming out of Miami, Florida. Really do-it-all type of guy. Can play in the nickel, can play boundary, can even play rover, even at safety. So I really like Amari Sanders. I didn't really think he was going to play true freshman originally, but been hearing a lot of good stuff from him at camp. Picked off a couple balls in the last scrimmage, and he might be in the mix to get some playing time along with guys like Larry Tarver and Buford. So I want to talk about him. Let's go to the offensive line with not necessarily a breakout player, but this is a guy who's already good and he might just be great, Micah Mazzccua. So when he got to Nebraska in the spring, of course, he transferred in from Florida. Matt Rhule said that he was concerned about Micah's discipline and he still said that he needed some development. That is not the case anymore in the fall. Micah Mazzccua looks like a unit. He talks like a unit. Matt Rhule is hyping him up. The offensive coaching staff is hyping him up. Do not be surprised if Micah Mazzccua is our best offensive lineman this year. Okay, and that's a good thing because there's a lot of talented linemen for Nebraska. Man, am I pumped up about him there at right guard. So I want to talk about Micah Mazzccua. Let's go to the wide receiver position. A guy I haven't talked about either, but has been playing very well in fall camp. This is Quinn Clark. So if you're not familiar with Quinn Clark, true freshman wide receiver coming out of Montana, listed at 6'5", and he's been making plays, man. He's so naturally gifted. He's so tall. He can just go up and get those jump balls and come down with them. But what is the outlook for Quinn Cook? Will he actually play this year? I don't think so. You'd want to keep that red shirt on him going forward. I just don't know what Quinn Clark's role on the team will be. That's my big concern. And that was my big concern coming out of high school was that, okay, he's 6'5", but he's not fast. And he's not twitchy, and he's not quick. So is he going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a tight end? It remains to be seen. But what I've heard about Quinn Clark actually playing on the football field in scrimmage, he's been awesome. So another guy to watch out for. Again, they're going to probably get him in 4 games. He's going to redshirt, no doubt about it, right? But they will probably get him in 4 games. He's had a very, very good fall. One more one I mentioned. I mentioned him a little bit before, but this is Caleb Benning. Caleb Benning is a last-second addition to my non-redshirt list. He's in the 2 deep right now. It's official. He will get some playing time this year. It just depends on his outlook in the future. Like, if Nebraska is concerned that he might transfer out, they might play him right away. If they think that he's going to be a Husker for the rest of his career, they'll probably redshirt him because there's no really concern of him leaving. We'll see there. Again, this secondary is very deep, but Caleb Benning, man, another good camp from a guy who I believed was the #1 prospect coming out of Nebraska in the class of 2024. So those are my last breakout players. Kind of slim pickings at this point. I've mentioned so many throughout fall camp, but those are my final 4. My third storyline for Nebraska throughout fall camp has simply been the culture, the leadership, because it's at a different level. Unlike what we've seen in the past with Scott Frost coach teams, with Mike Riley coach teams, even year 1 of Matt Rhule. And he recently touched on this. He said that the seniors coach the team now. They lead by example and the freshmen follow suit. We have not seen that from a Nebraska team in a very long time. I mean, this team is completely bought into Matt Rhule and the culture. And what does that mean? How does that translate to wins? Because that's the big question. It translates to wins because when you have your back against the wall, you could do either one of 2 things. You could quit, give up, have no self-confidence, or keep fighting. We've seen a lot of Nebraska teams just give up, sit down and die when they're down by 2, 3 touchdowns. Not a Matt Rhule coach team. That's not happening this year. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to have comeback victories. If we have a little bit of adversity, that's not going to derail us. This culture is so strong, and that's respect to Matt Rhule. That's respect to this coaching staff. And one thing that I love is that coaching staff in the past for the Huskers have just focused on game day. They focused on getting to Saturday. Matt Rhule says every single day is important. Monday's important. Tuesday's important. It's all about attacking that one day and then getting to Saturday and putting the best product on the field. That's a difference. So, man, oh man, this culture is good. This leadership is good. I'm getting excited. So let's go to my last storyline of fall camp, and this is the health factor. Now, listen, we did have Teddy Prohaska go down with injury. We did have true freshman Roger Gradney go down with injury, and then Demetrius Bell. So 3 players out for the year. But with that being said, we're relatively healthy going into the year. Okay, Henry Letufsky's coming back. Bly Hill is coming back. Tristan Alvano should be 100% by the UTEP game, if not Colorado. If you look around the country, you look at Texas, they have their #1 running back out for the season. Texas A&M, same thing. Iowa, they have a bunch of guys injured and out for the year that were key starters. So Nebraska really got lucky because we've got hit by the injury bug before. We've been there. That did not happen this year. Man, this team is healthy. They're ready to go. We really don't even have small injuries. That is a luxury, and we're going to have the best team that we have field against UTEP. And let's go out there and put on a show. All right, guys, that was my final fall camp week 4 recap. I'm posting this on Sunday. It's officially game day, folks, or game week, I should say. Not game day just yet, but get excited. Man, UTEP, then Colorado, but it's one game at a time. Let's go 1-0. All right, guys, let me know down below what has been your big storyline throughout all of Nebraska fall practice. Put that down in the comment section. And hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.